Alright, hello there, thrill seekers. It's me and Ziggy making a video for you today. Ziggy's right here with me as I'm making the video, so he's going to make sure the video is a good one. So, what I would like to talk to you about today is a little bit of a carry-on from yesterday's video. And a lot of people kind of were commenting on yesterday's video, and so some people were commenting that what I was talking about on the video was activism and not, what did I say, compassion or something like that. Anyway, so what I wanted to kind of talk about is my feeling that Buddhism is not activism, okay? And when I say Buddhism is not activism, what I don't mean is I don't mean that Buddhists can't be activists. Buddhists, with a T at the end, can certainly be activists if they want to be. Certainly there have been Buddhist activists, Thich Nhat Hanh being the most famous of all. And who's that guy who was friends with the guy from Big Lebowski? Oh gosh. I can't remember his name. They wrote a book together. Big Buddhist activist. Geez, what the hell is that guy's name? Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of famous Buddhist activists, and that's fine. If you're a Buddhist and you want to be an activist, okay, I got no problem with that. Buddhists can be activists. Buddhists can be actors. Buddhists can be pizza chefs. Buddhists can be guitar collectors. Buddhists can be monster movie fanatics. You know, Buddhists can be all sorts of things if they want to be. But what I object to is when Buddhism turns into activism. And I thought of a metaphor to try to explain why this bothers me. And let me see where I can get with that if I try to put it this way. So let's leave both Buddhism and activism out of the picture and see if we can talk about it in terms of a metaphor. So let's say you're really into karate, okay? And your karate instructor is a normal, sort of well-rounded human being. So he's got a lot of other interests besides karate. Maybe he's maybe he's an amateur pastry chef. Maybe he's also a guitar collector. You know, he's got a few Stratocasters, a nice Schecter Diamond Series guitar, a couple of Fender basses hanging around. And maybe in addition to all this, he's a huge fan of Scooby-Doo. You know, Scooby-Doo, the old TV cartoon about a dog and these kids who run around solving mysteries. Okay, so if you happen to hang out with your karate instructor after karate class is over, and you get to chatting about Scooby-Doo, and he tells you all the stuff he knows about Scooby-Doo, that's no big deal. But if you were to go to karate class, and one day, instead of teaching karate class, he decides to hold forth about all things Scooby-Doo, and he tells you how, he thinks that Be Cool Scooby-Doo was a worthy successor to Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated that didn't get its just due, even though it was a very good show and it got moved around the schedule a lot and it wasn't taken seriously, even though the writing was really good and high quality, and how Scooby-Doo has, enjoyed a really good revival since, a pup named Scooby-Doo kind of brought things back after the years in the wilderness, after the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo and all this stuff, when they got rid of Fred and Daphne and Velma and just focused on Scooby and Shaggy, and that was weird, and and Shaggy had the red shirt and all that, and it was a weird thing, and he holds forth on this, and you're standing there in karate class and you're going, what the hell is this going on? What the hell's going on with this? That's weird. I came here for a karate class. I didn't want to hear all this stuff about Scooby-Doo, even if I really kind of like Scooby-Doo. And then you come to find out it's not just your karate instructor that's talking about Scooby-Doo. It's everybody. All these other karate instructors all over the country are spending all their time talking about Scooby-Doo. And then you come to find out that the American Association of Karate Instructors, who used to put out these good pamphlets that would go into detail about the history of karate and different karate techniques and things, and they'd have these meetings where they talk karate and get into all the minutia of karate. Instead, they're putting out pamphlets that are all about Scooby-Doo and the minutia of Scooby-Doo, and whether Scott Messick or Matthew Lillard was a better successor to Casey Kasem as the voice of Shaggy in Scooby-Doo. And you're like, what is all this stuff about this? And you find out that Scooby-Doo has taken over all of karate, because karate is a really strict discipline that requires a lot of work and a lot of focus to get into, and the karate classes are a very special and precious time that you want set aside to strictly focus on karate and on improving your karate techniques. You don't want to sidetrack it with something else that's not karate. You're very concerned with working on that specific thing. That's what you came here to do. That's what I feel is going on in a lot of ways when Zen Buddhist organizations and temples and Zen Buddhist centers get sidetracked into all this activism stuff. Now, you might argue that all this stuff in activism is for a good cause. It's for making people better people, and that's the same thing that Buddhism is all about. It's about making people better people. But let's say we bend our metaphor around a little bit, and let's say your karate instructor is also really interested in Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is for improving improving the racial relations, ostensibly, right, in America and elsewhere, I suppose. And say you're a real Black Lives Matter kind of guy, and you go into your karate class, and instead of karate class, your karate instructor is holding forth on Black Lives Matter. Now, I would think that even if I am a really, really into Black Lives Matter, and even if the reason I took karate classes is because I think that the discipline and the self-defense aspects of karate are going to help me in my work in Black Lives Matter, if I go to karate class and my karate class has turned into a Black Lives Matter class, I'm going to be like, this isn't what I came here for. If I want the Black Lives Matter class, I'm going to go down the street and do the Black Lives Matter class. When I want to come into karate class, I want to learn about karate because, again, karate is a very strict discipline. It's a very ancient discipline, and I know that it takes tremendous focus and a lot of practice to get into it. Now you might say, well, okay, we devote a lot of time to Zen. What's wrong with doing a little bit of activist stuff here and there? But see, that's a problem, because I think that the Zen training requires a lot of depth and a lot of work to get through it. Just to give you an example, we have the recorded works of Dogen's teachings, the records of Dogen's teachings, and let me show you what they consist of. Now, this is Shobo Genzo. This is the 4 volumes of Shobo Genzo. This represents part of Dogen's lectures, and then on top of that, here's Eihei Koroku. There's some more of Dogen's lectures on Zen. And then let's put it, this is by Taigen Dan Layton, did the translation of Eihei Koroku partially, who I talked about yesterday. And then let's add on top of that Shobo Genzo's Zui Monkey, which represents another bunch of Dogen's teachings. And as you can see, there's a lot of stuff to study, and this probably isn't even all of it, because there's some more stuff that hasn't been translated, and of course he didn't write everything down. This is just the stuff that got written down. So there is a lot of material to get through. And I feel like, really, the implication when I see Zen centers doing, these various extracurricular stuff that they'll throw into their curriculums, in very, I don't want to get specific onto which activist sort of things they get into, but you'll see a lot of it. You just have to go on a website of any Zen center in America, just about any Zen center. Usually the coastal ones are the best ones if you want to see this kind of stuff in action. San Francisco Zen Center, Brooklyn Zen Center, those are big ones for this kind of stuff. And does that mean they got through all of this already and they're ready to move on to other stuff? I kind of don't think so. I mean, there's a lot to get through. And the other implication is that maybe they're saying there's no place else to do this. Back in the 50s and the 60s, you could see why churches might have been a good place to get into sort of civil rights activities, because there weren't a lot of places you could go to talk about and to organize stuff around civil rights in the 50s and 60s. But it ain't the 1950s and 60s anymore. And there are a lot of places where you can go specifically to talk about and to organize around these kind of things. And plus we have the internet. Back in the 50s and 60s, you might have had 3 television stations and a couple of newspapers, and people might have been able to get together by sending each other letters and stuff. The places they gathered were coffee shops maybe and churches. Now you got a lot of places, and the Zen centers are able to focus specifically on Zen. That's the thing I'm talking about. I think if you've got a Zen center, it's a precious space that should be focused specifically on the training and discipline involved in Zen Buddhist practice, which is very extensive and very deep. And that this needs to be a protected space. And that's my beef with all of this stuff. And I know I probably sound like a cranky old man, and that people are going to send me that meme from The Simpsons of the old man yelling at a cloud. People always send me that one when I do one of these videos. But that's my problem with all of that, and maybe the metaphor might help you understand at least where I'm coming from when I get on these little rants about this stuff. So there you go. And I have other stuff I want to talk about, and I really want to get off this subject, so I promise you that the next video I'm going to do won't be on this subject. I just wanted to get that off my chest and put it out there and tell you where I'm coming from when I say this stuff. I'm going to show you these dogs next. Anyway, because they're sleeping out here. Wait a minute. Okay, this is what I'm looking at right now when I'm making this video. I'm going to show you. I'm going to cut to this video camera on my phone so you can see. I got the little doggies. This will serve as their cameo. That is Ziggy over there. And that is FICO, my sister-in-law's dog, over there, who I'm dog sitting. He's going back home today in the afternoon, I think. They've been accompanying me for this video while I rant. So there you go. That's my little rant today. And I hope that explains things, and I hope it didn't make anybody too upset. If you want to contribute to me making more rants about this kind of stuff, you can go to the URL that you're seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. Those are my main and usually my only ways of making a living, and I appreciate your support. But as always, this is offered for free, so you don't gotta support me if you don't want to support me. So we will see you next time. Have a good time all the time, and I will play you out with a little bit more of the song that you heard at the beginning of the video, which is by a band from Dusseldorf in Germany called Vibravoid, and I really like this song. I think my version didn't come out quite as good as the original, but I'll let you hear the rest of what I did with it. It is called What You Want, and here's a little bit more of What You Want.
Just what you feel, you're a living disease. You're in prison inside of your mind. The things you believe are making you blind. You're hiding in the wall that's behind. The world that you know is a marketplace where you can choose from cancer or hate. And the price that you pay is dependent on you. And whatever you choose, they will sell it to you. Can you tell me your name? I guess you all look the same.